Our guest in the studio today is understated in demeanor, but is a charismatic leader of the community. At his day job, Ace Marasigan is the downtown Grand Rapids branch manager for Old National Bank. But on the weekends, he sheds his business suit so that he can play in a rock band or work events as a DJ. Here with us today, Ace will talk about leadership, community involvement, and belonging. Ace, welcome to Feel Like You Belong.
Hey, Alan, how are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm awesome, thanks. Yeah.
Here, shake your hand.
Yeah, you betcha.
You're famous.
In my own little head, anyway. Anyway, so really glad to have you here. So much happening in Grand Rapids, which I want to get to in just a bit. But I want to take our viewers back on a journey. A couple of decades ago,
Sure.
You arrived in this country as a teenager. Talk about what that was like for you.
Well, first off, I want to talk about living in the Philippines.
Okay.
Because that's where I came from. You know, having involved in the community there is, I'm just trying to imagine, I want to explain it to you. So I live in a household with my parents and all my 4 other siblings and my uncles. So we all live in this one tiny house. And this is where you learn how to share and engage with people and just to live a life of just, like engage.
Because family is really community.
Family's community. Family's big in the Philippines.
Sure.
For Filipino culture. So that's where we the things that the values that took from that. So I brought it to the United States. So now you're asking me about being a teenager here.
Mm-hmm.
16 years old, 15, turning 16. That was a tough one.
It's an awkward time anyway.
Very awkward for a teenager, right? But I remember seeing my parents for the first time, and I was so happy. I was so excited because they
came ahead of you.
They did, like 3 years before I came.
And now, did you have English? Had you studied English before you came?
Filipinos do speak a little bit of English in the Philippines, and they also teach us English, kind of like taking Spanish classes here. So,
and not all of us studied Spanish very diligently, so don't want to judge your student history, but
it's just part of our communication. So our language, sometimes English is intertwined.
Okay.
So we learn a little bit of English, but so I wasn't too confident when I was, first came here when I was 15, 16.
Right.
I remember just being happy to see my parents, being happy to see my sister, and then the reality sets in. Now I'm going to be living in a foreign land.
So you had some family who had come before you, but you also, as I recall from our conversation, you had a few people looking out for you when you first landed here from the community.
There are a few. I would say Minnie Morey, because she's the first one I've met outside my family.
A hero in our community.
Yes, definitely a hero. She helped me. She introduced me to a lot of people to just help me feel like I belong.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really feel I belong until I started going to school. Maybe a year after, when I finally make some friends and starting to feel like I could contribute to the community. And I think that's the trigger point when I said, I think I am home. But it took a while, Alan.
Mm.
There are moments where I asked my parents to send me back home to the Philippines because my brother Dino and Herman are still living there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, can you just send me back there? Because that's where the fun is.
Sure. And a certain level of comfort, and you're familiar with the ways, and some things here are a little strange.
There are things that I was kind of shocked and just wasn't sure. I wasn't ready for.
Mm-hmm. One thing that really helped ease that was Minnie is also from the Philippines.
She is.
So she understood the culture, understood what you were looking for, what you needed. How big at that time was the Filipino community in the area?
I could not recall exactly the numbers, but I mean now, the 2010 census, if I look at it correctly, it said 400 Filipino families.
Okay.
And I would assume now, 2017, we should probably have about 600.
Mm-hmm.
I'll talk to our Kent County today, because now you piqued my interest in that.
Sure. Absolutely. So when was it that you first had an interest in music? Because you both you're a DJ. You and your brother have a rock band. Talk about that.
Filipinos, we love to entertain. We love to sing. We're just a bunch of happy people.
Mm-hmm.
We love to dance. And I think that's where the fun and the whole idea of like, hey, playing the music, playing a band, and trying to bond with my brothers because I play in a band with them, you know. So that's
And the name of the band is?
the Revelations, and it's a play on words because we were a Christian rock band in Revelation, and then we're like, hey, Revelations. That's a good play on words.
Yes. Wonderful. Yeah, made me smile.
Yeah, I used to be a worship director for multiple churches. That was a while back.
Okay.
That's where I recruited my brothers to play with me at a church, and that's where we decided, hey, let's form a band.
Okay.
Because we love to play music anyways, and so that's where the Revelation came in.
Awesome. Well, the next time you have a gig, make sure you let me know because I'd love to
For sure.
come and see you.
And our gigs is far in between now because we're so busy.
Sure.
So they still play. They have their own band called the Jumpstart Band.
Okay.
They play quite often actually in bars. But when I play with them, it's far in between. We're too busy.
Okay. Okay. So I want to fast forward past your weekend kind of activities to you wear a suit and a tie. you work in a bank.
I work in a very awesome bank.
Okay, so tell us about your job at Old National.
I work as a branch manager for Old National Bank. It's really a wonderful job. I get to work with people. I get to work with fantastic people like Barb and Ryan. Our job is really to help our community. You know, I mean, it is a business, but it's a business of helping others. So it's such a wonderful company. They sponsored the first ever Grand Rapids Asian Festival. So for me, that signals a big time.
That's a true commitment to, well, both to one of their employees, but also definitely to the Grand Rapids community. Talk about the Asian, because I was there for several hours a couple of weeks ago down on Rosa Parks Circle in Grand Rapids. It was amazing. It was packed. A lot of activity. Talk about the genesis of that and what you pulled off.
You know, very excited about that. Hats off to the community, you know, to the team that actually pulled it off. But, you know, one time I was sitting down, my office is like right across from Rosa Parks Circle. I'm not sure if you've ever been there. Looking across, I always see the Hispanic Festival, Polish Festival. I've seen all these festivals happening at Rosa Parks Circle. And one time I was like, well,
what about the Asians?
What are the Asians? And I let it pass, you know. But when my son was actually born, I think that's where the trigger kind of came in. You know, like when he's 2 or 3, I'm like, wow, how do I keep telling him about the Filipino culture or the Asians that are in the community or the people that kind of looks like him? I want him to feel like he belongs too. You know, I don't want him to feel like, hey, who are your mom and dad's the only one that I know that looks like me. And so that came into play, and I reached out to the people that I know who's going to be able to help me create this. KB Linon of Herman Miller.
Sure.
I'm not sure if you've met her before.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, she's fantastic.
Absolutely.
She's a commissioner
Another rock star in the community.
Rock star in the community.
Yeah.
And I knew that she will be able to assist me. And also, I have friends from the Polish Festival, like Adam Perczynski. I was like, I know he's done this before, exactly at the Rosa Parks Circle. Reaching out to those people was very important piece.
Well, and no sense in reinventing the wheel. If other people have done it,
No.
glean their wisdom, right?
Yes, exactly. So the only challenging part is making sure we make people comfortable about participating. But it turns out it's really not that hard.
So when you contacted people, what was their response? Do you want to participate?
So funny enough, some of them will say like, oh, we don't have one? And I'm like, yes, we don't have one. And this is our chance to actually have a voice in the community, a bigger platform. And I need your help for it. And most of the time the answers will be, yes, I would like to help out. And there's some that they said, no, I don't think so. I don't even know what you're trying to sell.
Okay.
So that's understandable.
Well, and the first time you do anything like that, you know, people are a little unsure. But I think for anyone who either turned out or heard from their friends, they're on board for next year.
I'm hoping that they will be on board for next year. I mean, hats off to my company because again, I only had a 30-second conversation with our regional president, David Dams, and he was like, where do I sign? Where do I sign on the dotted line? Because this is important to you.
That's
but
amazing
it's also
support.
important to the community.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely amazing support.
Yeah. And so do you have a date for next year?
We are shooting for June 8th and 9th.
Okay, 2 days.
2 days. I haven't announced it yet to anybody, so here it is.
We're going to broadcast in August. Can this go out in August?
This could go out in August.
Okay, very good.
We are just trying to set in place everything that we want to make sure before we make an announcement saying like it's a 2-day. But we've been telling people that it's possible to be 2 days because of the demand and the response that we had for this year.
Sure.
It was amazing.
Sure. So talk about some of the activities that happened on that one day.
Sure, we have like multiple vendors that we contacted, but some of the activities that happened that people really gravitated towards we had the lion dance. Kids loved that. Fantastic group, they acrobatic, and
I've seen some line dances before.
I know, and so hopefully we're hoping to bring this to the next event where we can have like 2 sets of lion dancers, and maybe take the Friday and make that more of a entertainment for older people,
Okay.
and then make it family friendly again on Saturday.
So for example, I was remembering a fashion show.
There was a fashion show on Saturday, and that was amazing because you can see the pride in people wearing their traditional garb, and where they're some of the younger people, when you talk to them about it, they're like, wow, I get to wear this in public and be okay with it. And I said, you're always okay to wear it in public.
And it was also beautifully narrated. Whoever scripted that did a marvelous job because gave a little bit of the history, why this is worn, what the significance of the color, the fabrics, and for me that was absolutely interesting. So a bit of pageantry, but at the same time, a little bit of cultural education.
That is all Claire
It was-
Horlings. We recruited different people for different aspects of the event. And she took that head on, and she's fantastic. She did well.
That's awesome. I remember going around. I'm a bit of a flag nerd, and so you had flags ringing Rosa Parks Circle. So I was going, okay, now which one is Mongolia, and this is Taiwan, right? And so many great touches that you and your committee put together.
The Grand Rapids Community College Asian Student Association, they're the ones who were in charge of transforming Rosa Parks Circle. And the passion of those kids, call them kids, but they're not kids, the passion of those young adults, it was phenomenal. I mean, they're the ones who thought about putting flags and putting the lanterns on this big pole that they created. It was great.
And the food smelled great. I mean, there were Indian restaurant, Chinese restaurant,
Yeah, Filipino.
Korean food, Filipino food, Vietnamese had some food booth.
the biggest complaint that people were saying was the venue was too small, and we didn't have enough food vendors.
Okay.
That was a good problem, though.
A great problem
It's a
to
good
have.
problem.
So for people who want to get involved for this 2018 festival, who should they contact?
It's very simple. It's hello@grasianfestival.com.
Fantastic. We will put that on the screen for our
Please.
viewers, and hopefully we'll get a lot of people.
I would love for them to help out, volunteer, and help set up. And maybe if they have talents that they want to showcase.
Okay.
I'd like for them to send me videos, and maybe we could use them for next year.
Awesome, awesome. So we're going to have to wrap up in just a moment, but the theme of our show is belonging. What is, now that you've been here for a couple of decades, what is your understanding of belonging?
Actually, my understanding of belonging is acceptance, but not just for the community to accept me, but it's also acceptance for me, accepting the whole as one. I learned how to live in harmony with different people. There are still challenges, because there's still some microaggressions that I face every day, and hopefully my son will not face that, but I would assume that he would be facing that when he gets older. But he'll be stronger because he's got a bigger backing of community now.
Community around him.
Yeah, so I'm hoping this festival will bring about collaboration between all the different Asian groups, I want them to, you know, back my son because he's an awesome kid.
And to be proud of his heritage.
Exactly.
Yeah, he
And
is born as an American, but he's got some strong roots, and those connections are really important too.
that I want him to feel like he belongs everywhere he goes to.
That's
I mean, yes, he's an Asian American-born kid, but like you said, those roots, we want him to experience that.
Fantastic. We're going to have to leave it here, but I want to thank you so much for coming by and joining us today.
Alan, thanks for having me.
Awesome.
It's great.
Thanks for joining us here in the studio. If you're watching on TV, stay with us for some tips on American English, culture, and humor. For our friends on the internet, we hope you'll join our ongoing conversation with the impressive immigrants who contribute their vast skills to making the United States a better place.
All of a sudden, he looked at me and said, "Do you believe in God?" And I felt a little nervous. I thought, oh, where is this conversation going? But okay. I said, "I do." And then he said, "Are you a Christian?"